We continue with the IQP reflection feature here on wpi.edu/athletics, and we're joined by men's basketball's Kahleb Downing. Kahleb, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rusty.
And if you could take this time, just can you tell us when and where your project was, and give us a title and a brief synopsis?
So my project was D-term of 2020. It was located in Worcester at the Water Resource Outreach Center. The title of my project was Guidelines for Promoting a Fifth Grade Stormwater Curriculum for Central Massachusetts Schools. A brief summary is that the year before me, one of my teammates actually created a curriculum for his IQP, and our job was to basically find ways to implement that in school systems around Mass. So by doing this, we would interview principals, teachers, STEM coordinators, and basically come up with ways that we could find to implement this curriculum.
And in addition to speaking with them, how did you prepare leading up to your IQP? How did you get ready to do this?
So ID 2050, we prepared by making an outline with our professor, talking a lot with our sponsors week in, week out, and just thinking of ways that we could implement this and ways that we could communicate with these people. So interviews, surveys, things like that, just to get the curriculum out there.
Great. And you were planning to do this pre-COVID, but probably had to make some adjustments because of COVID in terms of the way you collected info?
Yeah, so we plan on doing this pre-COVID, but we plan on doing this in person and meeting with all the principals and teachers in person. But obviously with COVID, we couldn't do that. So it took extra time to email them, come in contact with them, find out their phone number, and then set up a Zoom call where if there was no COVID, we could just go to their school or wherever they're located, meet with them for a brief 30 minutes and talk about just ways we can implement the curriculum.
And what was a typical day like?
So we would wake up, work on the paper a little bit, and then we would have, like I said, a principal or a teacher scheduled for one of the days. And then two of us, we had 4 people in the group, 2 of us would go meet or on Zoom with one of the principals or teachers or STEM coordinators. And one of us would take notes and one of us would give him or her the questions. And then we would report back to the group later in the day and just talk about it, the pluses of what we could put in the paper.
And then you had a unique group. You got Jake Needleman, as someone you played basketball with for 4 years. And you also have 2 non-basketball players in that group, correct?
Correct, yeah.
So just talk about that dynamic, getting to do something with somebody that you've obviously collaborated with on the court, now getting to collaborate on a project, and then bringing in 2 other people with different experiences.
So yeah, working with Jake was obviously awesome. We lived together, so it was convenient whenever we could just wake up and work on the project together, spend all day just doing that. The other 2 kids, honestly, I would probably never have met them if it wasn't for IQP, and now we are lifelong friends. So it was awesome working with them. The group got along really well. Each person brought their own dynamic to the group, and it benefited us.
Great. Is there anything that occurred other than COVID? Was there anything that occurred that you didn't expect and had to make an adjustment for?
Besides COVID, maybe just one of our group members lived in California. So whenever we had to meet, we would have to schedule the group, like the time around him because of time difference. I know it's not like that extreme, but
you got to sleep in it. It was better than the other way around, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was awesome. I always got to sleep in till like 12 or 11. And he would have to wake up at like 8 or 9. And
yeah, he drew the short end of that. What did you learn from your project? And actually, let me go back one step. Your project continued what another project had started. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Can you talk about a little bit of that?
So we talked a lot with Lou because Lou
being Lou Doherty, right?
Lou Doherty, yeah. We talked about so he made the curriculum, him and 3 other athletes in 2019. And so we talked with him a bunch in his group to find like the ins and outs of the curriculum because we are the ones who have to give it to the teachers and find ways for them to implement it. So we have to know the ins and outs of it, and whether it meets like the guidelines, the standards for like that school in Massachusetts.
Yep. And is there any overall feeling now, will you hand this project off to somebody else? Is there somebody this year that's going to take this and go further?
I believe so. We gave them ways to implement the curriculum. Now I think a group needs to go in and actually like make sure teachers implement it. It shouldn't be that big of a project, but it needs to be done.
Great. And overall, it sounds like you enjoyed the IQP experience.
Yeah, it was awesome. I love working in groups, problem solving, and the group of ladies we worked with over at the Water Resource Center were awesome.
Great. You want to shout them out?
Andrea Briggs. That's honestly the only one I can remember.
Sorry to put you on the spot on that, but
they're awesome. I forgot their name because I'm doing my MPP now, but
yep,
they're an awesome group.
Well, listen, thank you for sharing your reflections upon us. We're glad that you were affected by COVID, but didn't have to change sites, and you're glad that you got those extra hours of sleep in too. That doesn't hurt either, huh?
Nope, doesn't hurt at all.
Hey, Kahleb, thanks for joining us, and we hope to catch up soon.
Thank you, Rusty.